Welcome back to another Spotlight interview, Title IX, 50 years on, Marietta College making this possible on the radio. And we have Betsy Mitchell with us, currently the athletic director at the California Institute of Technology and decorated Olympian, one of Marietta's favorite daughters, we'd like to say. Welcome to the Eastern Time Zone, Betsy, and thanks for joining us on this series.
Oh, thanks, John, so much. And every time anybody mentions anything about my prolific past, I just sort of have to pinch myself because you might think I'm a prolific daughter of Marietta, I just think I'm a river rat like the rest of you. And then I really value so much calling Marietta home.
That's right, and we value being called river rats too. So that's how we know. That's how we know you're from here.
Right.
Let's jump back to. I was going to back into this like from now back, but I'd rather go back to the 70s and this. Do you think if you look back, and obviously we wouldn't have known it then, but was there a monumental shift, or did it take time, or you would have been closer to it, I think, than the rest of it, having gone through that meteoric rise in different phases of life?
Well, there absolutely was a shift, but I don't think it happened in the 70s, and I don't really think it happened in the 80s. I think it happened, more in the 90s, that opportunities of all kinds, but in particular, opportunities for young women in sports. I think I'd have to put it in the 90s, whether that's really the foothold of the WNBA or the U.S. women's soccer team successes, or really the 92 and 96 Olympics, where female amateur Olympic athletes really started outperforming our male counterparts on the world stage. That people realized, yeah, this is a good thing. This is here to stay. It really took its foothold. But certainly those of us in the 70s and 80s helped pave that way and paid the dues that made that happen.
Well, let's think about maybe, I'm just kind of play off that a little bit. If we go back to the 84 Olympics, and I don't know what, if you come out of that, I assume, based on what you did, you got endorsement deals and that kind of stuff. But you think about if the highest profile athletes coming out of that were Carl Lewis and Mary Lou Retton, would there have been equal footing endorsement range there, do you think, or no?
Oh, well, definitely not. And thanks for thinking that I got a penny from swimming, but I earned my athletic scholarship, and that's what it was. I got out purposely, just as little pennies and dollars and trinkets were coming into swimming. I didn't earn any endorsements, and I was happy that way. But to your question, was there parity? And you'd have to stay sport to sport, right, to say, the right comparison, I think, John, is did Carl Lewis and Jackie Joyner-Kersee, get relatively the same endorsement money? And the answer to that would be no. Did Mary Lou Retton and Bart Conner get the same endorsement money? Well, the answer to that would be no. But it's not really, and that's one of the troubling and or problematic things with trying to tackle it this way, right? Because the marketplace will bear out what the marketplace bears out, right? Mary Lou Retton has that perky little personality, like she's awesome, she was a great athlete, but she was certainly seeking, right, those opportunities. I did what I did in my sport, but I wasn't seeking those opportunities, and I also didn't have the perky little personality to go with it. So, I think that whether endorsements are the same or similar is not the right lens, right? I think the U.S. women's soccer team in the 90s and 2000s, and even just earlier this year, right, forcing, right, in professional sports when there are equal pay laws for same work, that's a much different thing, right, than endorsements, which are just only what the marketplace will bear, as opposed to, U.S. Soccer Federation has a men's and women's soccer team. It is the same work. Are they being paid more or less the same? So that's just two distinctions that I see. It's sort of related to the whole question.
Betsy Mitchell is our guest. She is speaking to us from California, where she is the athletic director at California Institute of Technology. And you got me kind of moving a different direction here, and I'm glad you did. Just listening to you makes me think of, kind of catching you where your feet are right now, or where our feet are.
Yep.
And this NIL stuff. I guess I don't even, I see all this, and I can't, I'm like, whoa, I can't believe that's happening. Now, you're the athletic director at this institution. I don't think I've heard of an NIL deal for a female. I'm sure they're out there, but you see all these things coming down, and you wonder which way it's going to go. But do you feel like there's a parallel there?
Well, there is, insofar as NIL is allowable under state law, right? And this is what broke the back of the NCAA, right? And it's not for good. It's not to ultimately a good end for college sports, but it's part of the implosion of the NCAA, John. So, right, if I'm a young man or a young woman at any level in the states that have made it so, I can pursue monetizing my name, image, and likeness without worry about being
right.
So again, back to my comments, from the Olympic level and from earlier about endorsements, that's on the hustle of the kid. So sure, of course, but of course, it's going to be the marketplace. So if there's a lot of motivated, awesome, amazing volleyball women, right, that are trying to trade on their name and likeness, are they going to make the same for the same work as the football players, the basketball players, the baseball players, or whatever? Probably not. Now, some may, right? Some may not, right? If Diana Taurasi were coming out now, she would make a lot of money because she wanted to. She's motivated. She's got the marketable personality. But again, that's up to the marketplace, and that's very, very different than the approach that the NCAA has taken for a long, long time, which is to honor that. You're a talented person, and we want your athletic talents, and we're going to give you a college education in exchange for that. So, when students push this bar, it broke the back of the NCAA, and it will lead ultimately to further disintegration of the NCAA, and that's okay because a few sports need to go on their way anyway, right? A few sports and a few conferences. Let's just have the full minor league professionalization of a few sports. That's okay. But let's not penalize and make more challenging for everybody else what the real, true college amateur athletic ideal is. And right now, it's just a mess.
Right. Betsy Mitchell is our guest, and we're going to take a break. Title IX, 50 years on, and a spotlight interview with Betsy Mitchell, who's talking to us from California, made possible here on the radio by Marietta College. We're going to take a little break, be back with some more thoughts from Betsy Mitchell after this timeout. Title IX, 50 years on, is the conversation. Betsy Mitchell, so nice of you to join us and have this discussion. I want to shift a little bit to access, meaning growing up, because we talked a lot about money actually in the first one and equality as it relates to that. But what about access? Because I think about where you started swimming that we don't even have available to us, right now.
Right.
And so I don't know if that, if that becomes a socioeconomic divide or something like that. But did you ever, wasn't this original Title IX about access more than anything?
Absolutely. It's about opportunity, which is why the whole thing is it is a little mind-boggling to use your word, John. I am a Title IX baby, right? Whether I knew it at the time, whether my parents did or not, I was 6 in 1972, and I trooped down to the fairgrounds with Pete Mitchell, Tom Villani, right, Keith Warden, and Tim Morse, and we tried to sign up for T-ball. They got to, I didn't. My dad on the way back by, we stopped by the Y. He's like, "Oh, you know how to swim? Sign up for summer swim team." I mean, that's how I even happened into swimming, because the Y had, open swim team, and you could join, and so Title IX was absolutely about access and opportunity and allowing young people, regardless of gender, to find what their thing was and to thrive under their own merits, not to be just given the world and had things demanded of it, but it was about fair access, and what you make of it on your own is what you make of it on your own. But who knows what would happen if I was playing t-ball at 6 instead of swimming? I don't know.
Right, or somewhere else maybe that you didn't have.
Well, I always had hoped that it would be golf, but my dad didn't get me started in golf until I was 30.
Are you playing now?
I do. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Talk a little bit about so when you had, you got world records and you've got these, gold medals and silver medals, and was there at that time in your mind at all about, what about us, or look at, why, why am I not on that same level?
Yeah, never, John. I mean, I can just honestly tell you never, because look, I'm very blessed. My parents unconditionally supported me, both emotionally and financially. They got me to swim meets. We entered meets. We went. We did it. They allowed me to pursue exactly what I really did love doing. So I already had a leg up in that regard, right? For sure. But I was given an athletic scholarship. I was given a free college education. I mean, you can't get a better access tool than that, right?
Right.
To what you're going to make of yourself. And so I never felt less than or like I wanted or needed anything that I couldn't get, or it just was a non-factor for me. With hindsight, clearly, I wouldn't have wanted it any other way, John. I'm grateful. I'm fortunate. I enjoyed it, and I got to do what I loved. So that has been lost a little tiny bit because of the proliferation of professional sports in our country, right? And rightly so. Thank goodness, right? There's professional sports for women in a variety of ways. There's more professional sports for men. Like, just the whole socio-cultural dynamic has changed. But the vast majority of kids today still just are grateful for the opportunity, want to play their sport, and if they can get a college education out of it, that's great. So yes, NIL is a possibility, but as I advise our students, be careful what you put your energy into. You know what I mean? Like, you can market yourself and have all that energy and take your focus off of school and sport and your family and friends. So be careful what you wish for.
Right.
Is kind of my message.
We talked a little bit, Betsy, about the parallel, or if there was a parallel to the NIL or the name, image, likeness stuff. But what about the DEI? Because if diversity, equality, inclusion, hot topic, right now, is there? I mean, is this the same thing from 72 to 22?
Boy, I am unqualified to. I am unqualified to opine on that.
Well, it's so broad.
I just really am, and I can tell you that, supporting every individual in every community with mutual respect is a value. It's an outlook on life. It's a perspective, and embracing difference in all forms is tremendously important. It is certainly part of the access conversation, right? The diversity and inclusion is one piece, right? Equity of opportunity is another piece. So, sure, those things are all bound up together. You're going to have to find a different guest to make a real sensical comment there. But are sports a part of an access tool for our country? They absolutely are. Are they an incredible character development tool for anybody who chooses to play them? Absolutely. Should they be mandatory? No. Because there's lots of things that people want to do. So we just need to figure out how to support everyone's dreams, really, and that's what makes it so unwieldy.
final thought, and I'll kind of meld a couple questions here because they're related a little bit, but for the listeners here, that this is such compelling information, so we appreciate you just being forthcoming with it. But Betsy Mitchell 2022, and the two kind of questions here are like, how many times, 25 years on, does somebody say, bring up the Olympics? And I'm just curious, over the course of a year, maybe how many times? And then Betsy Mitchell 2022, what are you enjoying most about Betsy Mitchell right here, right now?
Oh, yeah, God, those are good questions, John. Well, it's so funny, right? Because I work at a college, and I work at a Division III college, and much like Marietta College, right? And those kids don't know who I am in sport. Now, they come to find out, and certainly our coaching staff will, bring it up from time to time with those kids, but I certainly don't, because it's just not relevant, right? The only way that my sport experience is relevant is in how it informs how I do my job, right? And what my values are. And so all those things are on display, right? From thinking about all sports as the same value, right? I don't value our water polo team more than I value our tennis team, or vice versa. We talk about hard work, and we talk about sportsmanship, and we talk about integrity, and these are things that are important your whole entire life. And I may only be halfway done with life, but those things are with me all the time. What do I do? I'm happy with work. I have great friends here in California. I travel a lot. I just got back from a week in Greece and a week in France. I absolutely travel to make sure that I have my mind open to the world around me, and I don't get too set in my ways. I play golf. I walk my dog. I live in my garden. I just generally enjoy my day-to-day life, and hope that along the way I make some kind of positive impact on somebody else. That's pretty simple.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Unique perspective in what we're trying to do here is to elevate Title IX 50 years on, and where we are, where we're headed. And so thank you for giving of yourself, of your time and your knowledge, and certainly the unique perspective to this. And we appreciate it very much, and wish you the best.
Thank you, and thank you, Mid-Ohio Valley. I always speak very, very fondly and proudly of being from Marietta.
All right, Betsy Mitchell, our guest here. And again, our subject as the series will continue on, Title IX, 50 years on, made possible on the radio by Marietta College.